Hello friends, today we will talk about temple, a typical Hindu temple architecture, how it is constructed and its significance. Today we have a lot of temples, Shiva, Vishnu, Ganapati, Muruga. There are many temples, each constructed in its own way for various reasons. The construction of the temples have been specified in agamas. Agamas are equivalent to Vedic scriptures, which are sacred texts, and they specify how to construct a temple. And today in this video we will try to look why they have been specified in that way. The first thing which we have to understand is a temple is constructed for a deity. It is not the other way around. A temple is constructed for a deity. A deity is not made for the temple. This is the first thing to keep in mind. What is its significance? When we see a temple, it has a majestic look. Most of the temples are facing the east direction. What is the significance of the direction east? East is the direction towards which the earth rotates or revolves. So, the east direction has been signified as the direction of prosperity or future or wellness and so on. This is the reason why most of the temples, if at all possible, would be constructed facing the direction east. Now, the structure of a temple is designed based on Vastu Mandala Purusha or Vastu Purusha Mandala. What is Vastu Purusha Mandala? It is like a chess board. Just imagine a chess board, square in shape, which contains a man with his head at the northeast direction and his legs pointing towards the southwest direction diagonally. Yeah, this is the Vastu Purusha Mandala. This represents a man lying on the ground with his head and belly pointing towards the ground with his hands clasped pointing towards the ground, fitting inside this square chessboard. This is the simplest explanation which I could give about the Vastu Purusha Mandala. And there are various rituals or logic taken into account. The legs of a human body hold the body structure. So the high beams should be constructed at the southwest direction of a building. There should not be any beams and so on at the northeastern part, because in the head there is no support. So this is the basics about the Vastu Purusha Mandala. The same logic is applied for a temple in a different dimension. The first thing we have to understand is a Hindu temple architecture is based on the same Purusha, which is the cosmic man. A man, think of a man lying on the ground facing the sky. This is different compared to the Vastu Purusha Mandala which we use for building houses and buildings. The temple contains the Vastu Purusha lying towards the sky in a flat manner. The toes, the feet, point towards the eastern direction. So if a man is lying like this with his legs at this end, then this is the eastern direction. We enter through the gap of the 2 feet. This is the, let's say if a person is lying like this with the eastern direction at this side at your end, then we enter the temple between these 2 feet. This is called the entrance of the temple. This is the entrance. This is called the Gopuram. A Gopuram is constructed at the entrance, and this is called the Gopuram. Around this Gopuram, or let's say the Gopuram, is enclosed by the wall. There are many walls based on the size of the temples. Why do we have many walls in a temple? The outer wall, the inner wall, and so on and so on. There are many, 5 to 7. They specify 5 to 7 different wall structures for a temple. To understand the wall structures, we'll have to understand a bit about the koshas. Like an onion, if you take the example of an onion, if we peel inside, there are layers. And there are 5 layers specified in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. These are the 5 layers which are surrounding the soul. Inside these 5 layers, we have an empty space, and this empty space, within this empty space is the Atman. This is the soul of the human being. This is what the Upanishads say. Now, what does that mean for a temple structure? Or the walls. The walls are called prakaras. Prakaram. You just go around. There are different prakarams. In simplistic terms, we can say that if we have a laddu in front of us, and if we look at that, we feel like eating. How can you avoid eating that? It's very hard. By controlling your mind. If you decide in your mind so as to not to eat the laddu, then you can refrain from eating that. But if you make the decision to eat in your mind, how can one stop eating that laddu? It's very hard. But on the other hand, if the same person is suffering from the breath, or if he is not having proper inhalation and exhalation, then his mind will be arrested. Whatever desires which he thought in his mind will be arrested. The one which controls the breath is the intellect, the buddhi. If one knows that he has diabetics, and then if he decides through the reasoning of his mind, then he will refrain from eating the laddu. Beyond the intellect is said to be bliss, where one realizes that he does not have to eat the laddu at all, because the pleasure which he would get by eating the laddu is available without eating the laddu. So, according to Bhagavad Gita, what is said is the senses can be controlled by the mind. The mind can be controlled by the intellect or reasoning. The intellect can be controlled by the self. These are the different levels given in Bhagavad Gita. But in the Taittiriya Upanishads, it is said that the lowest level, the senses, form a body which is called the physical body, which is the Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya is the body made of food. This is the physical body. This is the Annamaya Kosha. Above this is the Pranamaya Kosha, which is made of breath, which controls the mind and the physical body. No, it cannot control the mind. It links the physical body to the mind. Above the Pranamaya is the Manomaya Kosha. It is the layer made of mind. Above the mind is the Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is the layer made of intellect. And above this intellect, above the Vijnanamaya Kosha, is the Anandamaya Kosha, which is bliss. Above this bliss is the void. It's like nothingness. And when one crosses this void, then he will find the Atman. So you can compare this to an onion sheets layer. The outer wall is the physical body, the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and inside is Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, and within that is an empty space, and within that is the soul. These are the different levels or layers surrounding the soul. This layer is described as the prakaras of a temple. That's why you have different layers within a temple. The whole idea behind this was, whenever there was a temple or a city to be constructed, the focus was given to the temple at the center of a city or a village. And then around this place, the city or the village was developed. So in the middle was Brahma. Around that we had Devas, and then Manushas, and then a bigger layer is Pishasas. But unfortunately, when this design was made in the past, people started to identify this with a different caste system. They said, okay, in a city we have a temple, around that the Brahmins live, and then Kshatriyas live, and around that the Vaishnavas live, and then they said, okay, the Sudras can live there. This has been misinterpreted long time back by our forefathers, and you will still find this structure available in many places. Now, based on the size of the temple, the number of prakaras can change. Ideally, it should be from 5 to 7 based on this logic. When you enter the temple, the first thing you will come across is the Dwaja Stambha. This is the flag staff, a big pillar standing exactly straight to the entrance of the temple. What is that? This flagstaff, or the Dwaja Stambha, is quite tall. It could be the tallest structure in the temple. This represents the backbone of a human being, the spinal cord. In a human body, if you compare the structure of a human lying down, when you cross the feet, the first thing you will come across is the tip of the spinal cord, which is called also the Mooladhara chakra. But this is lifted up to make it stand perpendicular to the ground. This symbolizes the axis on which the human being is functioning. This is same as the axis of the earth. The earth has got an axis when revolving around the sun. This axis, the central pole, is equivalent or compared to the backbone or the spinal cord of a human being. Immediately after crossing the Dwajastambha or the flagstaff, we find the Palibhida or the sacrifice altar. The sacrifice altar symbolizes the Swadhisthana chakra. This is the next chakra which is located near the genital organ of a human being. If you read what Yajna means in different scriptures, we get various descriptions of what sacrifice really means. In Bhagavad Gita, sacrifice is the controlling of your senses, your mind. Thereby, the mind is controlled. When the mind is controlled, then your intellect takes control, and then yourself will take control of everything else. So the sacrifice altar symbolizes the desires, the controlling of your desires. Desires is the root cause of all problems. This is what Buddha said. So the Swadhisthana chakra represents the sacrifice altar. When you enter a temple, you give up your desires for all the worldly activities, and then you are entering into a sacred place. This is the symbolism of having a sacrifice altar in a temple. Immediately next to that, we find the Vahana of a god or a deity. The Vahana symbolizes the elements which the deity has conquered. So there are various elements which can distract man from his original source. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, there are many. And those who have conquered these bad elements are still worshipped as gods. So if you go into any temple, try to understand what this Vahana means. Peacock, for example, for Murugan, symbolizes immortality. So the peacock is supposed to be quite close to the Swadhisthana chakra, which is the sacrificial altar. It also stays very close. So I repeat again, when you enter the temple, you have this Gopuram. Go straight, you will find the flagstaff, which is the base of the backbone. Immediately next to that, you find the sacrificial altar, and then next to that, you will find the Vahana of the deity. Crossing straight ahead, just think of the human body from bottom towards the head. Then you will have the Manipura chakra. What is Manipura chakra? It is above the Swadhisthana chakra. The Swadhisthana chakra is quite close to the altar, close to the Dwajastambha. The Manipura chakra is above that. This is the place from where the halls or mandapa starts in a temple. There could be many mandapas because there are different chakras across the body. The first mandapa is called a Mukha Mandapa. This is the entrance towards the Garbhagriha. The first one is Mukha Mandapa. The next one could be Kalyana Mandapa. This represents the heart chakra, Anahata chakra. Or there could be Sanapana Mandapa. It depends on the size of the temple. There are many mandapas which can be found in temple, and they are all will be of a rectangular frame, representing the frame of the body from the shoulders until the hips. Yeah. So you can have Mukha Mandapa, Sanapana Mandapa, Kalyana Mandapa, or Nritta Mandapa. It's a place where dance celebrations or dance festivals have been organized. So it's all within the frame of this body. And then you come to the neck portion. In the neck portion, you have this portion of temple will be limited in size, and it will be in a rectangular shape, whereas the other halls will be bigger in size. But this portion of the temple which connects the mandapas with the Garbhagriha will be narrow. This is called Antarala. This portion, the neck, is called Antarala. It will be narrow. Then in the northern part of India, you will find temples where there is also called Sukhanasi. Sukhanasi symbolizes the nose. It's a small opening, a small portion which connects the center portion of the Garbhagriha to the Antarala. So this is called Sukhanasi. And then you come to the Garbhagriha. The Sanctum Sanctorum is the place where the idol of the deity is hosted. This is the Ajna Chakra of a human being. Around this chakra, you have a passage for people to walk around the idol for circumambulation. This space represents the void which I mentioned earlier in the Upanishads. When you cross the different koshas, you come to a void. This void, when crossed by one, will take him to the real self, which is the primary deity of the temple. And the way how the deity is erected will be of 6 feet height normally. The deity which is in a temple should be of 6 feet, symbolizing the height of a normal human being. From that deity, from the forehead at the center point between the two eyes, if you draw a line at 22.5 degrees, that and projected outwards will touch the end of the Dwajastambha, which is the tip of the backbone. This 22.5 degrees signifies the orbital axis of our eyes. What does that mean? We have eyes. The place where the eyeball moves is called the orbit. There is an orbit in our eyes. And this orbit of the eye has got an axis. It is not straight. The inside portion of our eyes is conical, and it differs with a degree which is called orbital axis. The technical term for this is orbital axis of the eye is 22.5 degrees. This is inside our head. This is projected outwards at a degree of 22.5, and this cuts the top of the Dwajastambha. Why is this eye having this 22.5 degrees? There is a famous verse in Yajurveda, Yada Pinde Tada Brahmande. Yada Brahmande Tada Pinde. That means whatever is in the universe is within the human being also. So from this perspective, The I represents the sun, the human consciousness or the Atman behind the human being when projected outwards. The same way how earth revolves around the sun, the I is equated as the sun at a degree of 22.5. If you look the obliquity of the earth is not spherical in shape. It is, let's say, tapered at the ends, and then it is tilted. It is not straight, yeah? It is tilted. At now it is computed to be 23 degrees and something, but over the million of years it has deviated from 22.5 up to 23 now. Yeah, so this is one of the reasons why they say the macrocosm is a representation of the microcosm, and the microcosm, the human being, is a representation of the universe itself. Above the center point or the deity, main deity of a temple, we have the Vimana. Vimana is the conical structure which goes above the primary deity, and this completes the structure of the temple, and the whole structure, I insist, is based on the structure of a human being, and the deity inside the temple is that God. It's called Pratima. Pratima Lagna. Pratima means Pradi. Pradi is copy. It is a copy of the God. If the temple is containing the copy of the God, then where is the God? Know you not that you are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God lives in you? It is self-explanatory. I repeat, know you not that you are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God lives in you. May God bless you all. Thank you.